It might shut the door.
Thank you very much. This is Senate Agriculture Committee. Senator Ingo, who is the normal chair, is actually giving testimony. So I'm flying the ship. I'm Senator Joe Major from Windsor, and if we can go around and introduce the rest of the senators.
Brian Collmore, representing the Rutland District, and Rob Plunkett, the Bennington District. Steve Heffernan, Madison County District.
And it is March 18th, 2025, and we are here welcoming the Salvation Farms for an update, and their director, Kelly Dolan, is here, and we'll give a presentation. Kelly,
All right.
take it away.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the time and opportunity to share. So I'm Kelly Dolan. I'm the Executive Director of Salvation Farms. I'm joined today by Tony Rizzatano, Salvation Farms Program Director, and Kim Lipinski. Kim is the Director of Wellness and Nutrition for the Central Vermont Council on Aging, and Richie and Connie Horahan from Cabot Smith Farm in Cabot, Vermont. So the intention of today is to share an update on an appropriation that Salvation Farms received in 2023 to launch a food processing facility for agricultural surplus crops. In terms of Salvation Farms and our mission, we serve to foster a future where local farms feed local communities. So our mission is to build resilience in the food system through agricultural surplus management. And by agricultural surplus, we mean food from farms that isn't reaching traditional markets for a variety of reasons. It could be labor shortage, a buyer falling through, market specifications, the product is too big, too small, whatever the case may be. So our team works to distribute that food back into the community in partnership with charitable food sites and institutional buyers. So at the heart of our work is the belief that a strong food system isn't just about food, it's about relationships that build towards thriving communities and farms. And the reason that we're doing this work is that we've identified a significant gap within the food system. So through our own internal research, we learned that about 14.3 million pounds of vegetables and berries from Vermont farms end up as food loss each year. And then at the same time, 1 in 4 individuals in Vermont access food from institutions on a regular basis. And in addition to this, according to a 2022 UVM study, 2 in 5 Vermont residents experienced food insecurity in the year 2022.
I'm sorry. May I ask a question?
Of course, please do.
That's a significant. 2 in 5 is a significant number.
Yeah.
How do we come to that number?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. This was a study conducted by UVM. It was during COVID, so at that time it is possible that food insecurity was heightened. I'm not sure exact on the process they arrived at those exact figures, but I could certainly get that information to you. So, yeah,
that would be great, particularly prior to COVID, to give a little better data, or after.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of our next chapter for the organization, so in 2023, we received a very generous appropriation from the state of Vermont of $500,000 to establish a processing hub for agricultural surplus. So this hub, the intention is to aggregate, minimally process, and develop markets and distribution models for agricultural surplus. This work will be done in collaboration with farms and institutions. Currently, a lot of the food that's being utilized by institutions is food sourced from out of state. By using local agricultural surplus, this reduces the cost burden for institutions. And at the same time, it helps to reduce community food insecurity and access related issues. In addition to this, as a secondary but equally important mission, the hub will provide employment opportunities for individuals with barriers to employment in the rapidly growing food sector. So in terms of our organizational story, Salvation Farms has a long history of working in the agricultural surplus. Teresa Snow, the original founder and former ED of Salvation Farms, established a group leaning program in the year 2004 within the Vermont Food Bank. We received our official 501c3 status in 2012. And since then, there's been various iterations of our processing program. These include partnerships with the Department of Corrections, the Food Venture Center in Hardwick, and also our own food processing facility that was sited in Winooski. So we're very excited about this new iteration of our program. For a long time, the organization has been looking for a home for this work, and this is an opportunity to really greatly expand our current efforts. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Tony Rizzitano to share more.
Great, thanks. So thanks, Kelly, for the lead up. And I wanted to talk a little bit about where we're at today and our current activities and programming. So, just slide right on.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Great. So yeah, we've been, as Kelly mentioned, had several iterations of this program over the years in several locations, and we're really excited to get into our own facility that can give us some stability and really give us the ability to ramp up and increase our impact. Currently, we're renting space at the Vermont Food Venture Center in Hardwick. There's a shared kitchen model there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but you rent kitchen space. It's equipped with various equipment, so you can go in and get your thing done as quickly as you need to. Yes.
Is that the big yellow barn in Hardwick?
It is next to, but it is of the same organization.
Okay.
Yeah, same project, absolutely. So yeah, what we've been able to do there over the last few years is really focus on product and process development and refinement and market development. So as Kelly mentioned, about 14.2 million pounds of food that never makes it off the farm in Vermont. And we know there are markets that are looking for that kind of thing. And usually the barrier is affordability, for locally grown product against really tight budgets for produce. So what we're trying to do is develop that market and fill that market gap where products being bought from out of state at cheaper prices. And the idea is if we can generate some revenue for the farm by bringing a product to market that can meet some of those price points. So we've been doing product development there. We've worked with over 15 crops to make over 15 unique products that we've been working with partners in the school system, Department of Corrections, charitable food system, and some private businesses as well, some larger corporate campuses, to take these products that we're developing and get feedback on how they work in their applications at the kitchen. Does the format work? Does the price work? What could we do a little better? And we've had, I think, a pretty good success of getting a solid list of products that we'll be able to offer to local markets. Flip the next slide on. This is that. Okay, great. So right now we're in a planning phase. We're working on business plan development. So we've worked with a few consultants over the past 6 months to really hammer out a business plan, projecting out 3 years. So looking at throughput, seasonal throughput, cost, labor needs, and price points that we can afford to pay to farms, that our markets can afford to pay, and how do we get to where we need to be operationally to meet both of those needs. Also exploring some space sharing opportunities with local farms and food businesses. Processing space is really tough to come by up in our neck of the woods. And there are a lot of farms who would love to make value-added products or, take some of that surplus and be able to do something with it that adds value that's not currently there. So, having those conversations and, really just looking at a phased approach to scale up over the next 3 years. And so that's what we've been busy with for the last few months. Questions?
Senator.
Yes.
So 14.3 million pounds.
Yes.
What do you feel that out of that, what do you believe out of that 14.3 that you process or that is able to be processed or captured to be processed?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's not going to be 14.3 million pounds. And I think a lot of it has to do with efficiency of scale, being able to move things around the state efficiently. We've targeted for the first, hoping by the end of 3 years to be getting close to 200,000 pounds. And that's through two different channels. There's what we call our raw pack channel. So that's when farms have bins of apples, bins of potatoes, actually like right in that photo where they just have excess they need to get, they need to move. And so we'd be able to take that and do a sort called wash process and repack that into smaller retail sized packages that would then go primarily through the charitable food system, through the Vermont Food Bank, and go to food shelves. And then for minimal processing, we're looking at, trying to maybe start off with 60 to 70,000 pounds first year and starting to ramp that up over the years. One of the things that we've tried to do with Salvation Farms over the years is create models that are replicable. I'm not sure that we'll ever be the full statewide solution, especially in the facility we'll be in. I don't know that it could handle millions and millions of pounds, but if we can get a good model, out to folks to see what we're doing, we can maybe start to do some other things in other parts of the state as well. Great. And so also want to talk about workforce development. So we've always had a workforce development component to this program, and that also has had several iterations over the years. We were originally sited on the Southeast State Correctional Facility for some years, and we built up working with inmates to get them hands-on experience with working with food and giving them some job training on site. They closed that facility down some years ago, and we had to find a new home for the program. So in Winooski, we had a program where we were able to work with folks who had barriers to employment, whether that was coming out of the carceral system or other challenges that would give them barriers going out into the workforce. And so the idea was training them on food processing, inventory management, receiving and shipping. They get a ServSafe certificate, which is a nationally accredited food handling certificate. And then you can go out to the workforce with that. The program that we're looking at in this Morrisville facility would be a little bit different. We would be working with an organization called Working Fields, which is a temp agency that specifically focuses on folks having barriers to employment. And so connecting us with organizations in our community, Jenna's Promise, if you might be familiar with that, or Hireability. And so folks would be able to come in, and they come in under the auspice of Working Fields, and we would set up 6-month work opportunities. And it would be a little bit longer than things we've done before in terms of the time that they'd be kind of on the floor with us. And the idea is getting them trained up in all of those areas, and being able at the end of that time period to go out to the workforce with a solid reference, some training, some certificates. As Kelly mentioned, it is the second fastest growing sector in the state is food production. And so, really trying to make sure that we've got that kind of workforce knowledge coming out.
Yeah, first of all, I'm glad that you're working with Hireability, and it's a tremendous organization. I guess the thing that it was at one correctional facility. Is there a reason why I can't go to another correctional facility?
Yeah, so the idea, and I think to go back to times before we were on staff, but the original idea, as I understood it, was possibly turning this into a corrections industry. So it would be housed under the DOC and perpetuated that way. The reason Southeast State Correctional Facility worked is because they had the campus for it. There were empty buildings. They were able to find a building, retrofit it. The other campuses just didn't feel like they had anywhere on site to do this kind of work. And so there just wasn't another location that said we could house this. That's where that ended.
And as they go through the program, do we have success stories that these people have finished and got their and have gone out and gotten very well? Because like I know there's a lot of jobs up in St. Albans that are looking for food processing that pay very well and have benefits. Have you seen people taking advantage of that?
So the last workforce development program that we ran, and that was in Winooski, finished up in 2019. They did from 2017 to 2019, 3-month cohorts of 10 to 15 people. And one of the activities is they would do post operational surveys. So folks would graduate from the program, and then we would survey after that to say, have you found work? Has this been helpful for you? I don't have the numbers on placement rates. We could get those to you. I'm sure we have them. But yes, anecdotally, it was very successful, and people would write to us and say, really appreciated being part of that program. It got me a solid foundation. I got a job at this restaurant. I was able to get a job at Ben & Jerry's, or one of the places that are looking for food production. So we did consider that a success, that program to be a successful model. And if you would like more specific numbers, I'm sure.
I was just curious that less than.
Great. Okay, and moving on. So one of the other components of this program is farm viability, and that's really one of the crux components of this program. So 14.2 million pounds of produce that's grown, never leaves the farm. That represents a tremendous amount of sunk cost for the farmer. And I believe it's around 20% of what's grown never makes it off the farm. And as Kelly mentioned, there's a lot of reasons, either market standards, the carrot's too crooked, the zucchini is an inch too long, labor, saturated markets, all kinds of things. So that ends up being a loss for the farm. They put their money into it, and now it can't go anywhere. So what we're trying to do is develop a value stream where there hasn't been one. And by developing markets that are currently not buying Vermont produce, typically because of affordability, we're able to buy those seconds in at a lower price. Typically, the farms are really happy to be getting anything for it, process it and get it to markets in a way that is accessible and affordable. And so that's just developing that market channel. And again, better utilization of resources, land, fertilizer, labor, and that kind of thing. And so to speak to that a bit, we have Richie Horahan, who is from Cabot Smith Farm in Cabot. And we'd like to just have him speak a little bit about how this program, once it's up and running, will be able to impact his farm.
Sure, Richie, are you with us?
Tony, stop sharing your screen.
Stop sharing.
There we go.
We're not hearing you, Richie.
Yeah. I think I see your IT getting you all set.
Look like he's muted.
Yeah.
Would it come out of our computer?
No. There we
There
go.
it is.
No,
That was us.
those you have to.
Oh.
False alarm, false alarm.
Does the host have to unmute him?
He's not.
How about
Oh.
now?
There we go. Yes,
Hear us?
we can hear you.
All right, yes, my name is Richard Horahan, that's my wife Connie. And we own Cabot Smith Farm in Cabot. This year we'll be doing around 110 acres of produce and berries. First of all, I'd like to clarify about seconds. Quick story, a guy picked up in the seconds pile, he picked up an acorn squash. It had a little dimple because it grew on a rock. And he said, "What's wrong with this one?" And I said, "Well, okay, Picture that one, picture one that's picture perfect. It's in the store and they're both $1. Which one would you buy? The perfect one. I said, exactly. There's nothing wrong with the squash. Just that it's not picture perfect. And so it's not eye pleasing.
So
Okay.
the standards of our largest customer is a large supermarket chain, and they have certain standards. So a lot of our produce that is grown is just not up to their standards. So a lot of it was getting wasted before Salvation Farms started to come and glean for us. So that made us happy that at least it was going to someone to eat.
Now, the ones that Salvation Farm gets is when my guys, we have 8 H2A workers, when they go pick and they bring them in, they do accidentally pick number 2s. And we wash them, pack them, and they get culled out. But most of the number 2s get left in the field because I cannot afford to have guys pick more and pay them the way I'm paying them for stuff to bring up and just to throw away. It's senseless to do that. So what they do is they'll go through the fields, one person per row, and if he sees a number 2, he snaps it off the vine and just leaves it in the aisle, and it'll get plowed under later. I cannot let the gleaners in at the time because we're CAP certified, and you just can't do that. It's not allowed. So if the program goes through, I can pay my men to pick number 2s as well as number 1. Last year, we donated 22,000 pounds of produce to Salvation Farm, which went to 52 or 53 places. And it would probably be 2 to 3 times more than that. The money that we would be getting would be just going to probably payroll to help to pay the guys to pick the number 2s to send out to the people. And it's just heartbreaking to think that the school food for kids have been cut. And this definitely would help, especially with Tony, because kids don't go to school during the summer that much, but they do in the fall. So by the time first frost, I'm out of business. I have stuff we do ship after that till Thanksgiving. But Tony's going to be doing something that can be done 52 weeks a year. And I would love to see my food going into places where kids could eat it, and prisoners too. It's a waste. Last year we did almost 1 million pounds. Do the math, there was 20% left in the field. That's a lot of food. And again, there was nothing wrong with it, just that it wasn't eye-pleasing. Any questions?
No, any questions?
Yes, thank
Senator
you,
Thomas?
Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering, you have the ability to store the crops when they, like you said, that they just leave them in the row right now, but if we could figure a way to be able to pay the workers to pick, you have enough ability to store them, right?
Yes, I have a 60 by 80 warehouse.
You're talking
Okay.
Oh, you're talking to me or Salvation Farm?
No, to you, Richard.
All right, thank you. Yes, we have a 60 by 80 warehouse. And also Hillary and the girls are very good picking them up. When my foreman, when Ricardo sees it starting to build up, he will call. There's another girl, her name is Ciara, and he'll call Ciara and ask, say, okay, and they'll come over with pickup trucks and they'll take, the watermelon bins or pumpkin bins. They'll take like 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, load them on their trucks, and they take them back and they distribute them out in within 2 days. They'll box and send them out.
Thank you.
Come on
Sorry, thank you.
in. Senator Heffernan?
Thank you, Chair. Very, very impressive that you produced that much up in Cabot. That's impressive. I would have never thought that there was that much produce coming out adequate especially since frost almost come in August sometimes up there. So it's pretty impressive.
Last year, our first frost was October 12th.
Wow.
And because of the volume that we're doing now, we're starting to plant in Lindenville also.
Oh, wow.
Okay. This year, I think we'll be doing about 20 or 30 acres over there.
Sure.
Senator Heffernan?
So as a producer on the number twos, you basically are trying to cover costs of just it being picked and maybe being stored for a bit, which is, and that's your main objective, right? Is
Correct.
because you didn't see it go to waste, which is
Right.
tremendous.
Correct. In the summertime, yellow squash, zucchinis, cucumbers, you look at the field, you don't see them because of the green canopy of the leaves. You don't see them unless you walk into the field. But what really was eye-opening, and is Greg there? Greg Burt?
No, he's a representative.
Oh, he's a
I think these are
representative.
the
Okay.
senators.
We went through a field of pie pumpkins, which this organization, this supermarket chain, they buy about 3,000 cases, 50-pound cases. So I drove by the field and I look, and you have these little orange pumpkins, because they were, the leaves are dead, and they're all over the place. And I said, Ricardo, what the heck's wrong with those? He says, oh, those are all seconds. And I said, can't be. I turned around and drove in. Sure as heck, H1 had a minor defect in it, but there probably was. You could have filled a dump trailer. That's how many were in there. And I gotta just leave, and I left. And it's like, geez, that's awful. That is sinful to leave all that food there. But what am I going to do with it? I can't pay 2 guys or 3 guys to go down there and pick them all up just to throw them away, or whatever. I'll give them away, a compost or. But anyways, Tony's coming up with a solution. I saw an article the other day where a school was making pumpkin pasta.
That was Salvation Farms.
Oh, it was you guys. It was Salvation Farms. They were making pumpkin pasta. Sorry, Tony. And they were making pumpkin muffins
With the kids.
with school kids.
That was excellent.
Oh, and that's another thing. So once we're done with the field, if they can get enough kids, enough people to glean, it's good, because they come in and they even the state ag were there. They came here this year to just glean.
Yeah, the staff.
But
the state
it gives the
department.
kids in school, Cabot School, Twinfield, Danville, all the schools around here, they come and glean. They take a bus, come, and it goes from first grade to seniors. And they'll say, oh, wow, we were up at your farm gleaning and picking. And wow, there's a lot of food there. And they're really excited because they did something great. The first time we ever gleaned, we ended up picking, because my corn came in late, and the chain that I'm dealing with thought nobody buys corn after Labor Day. Well, that changed. Anyways, they ended up picking over 20,000 pounds of corn. And my wife and I left. We came back and we seen all these bins. It's like, what the heck? That's where we started gleaning. They gave them to the school. The kids took them home. They gave them to the food bank. They processed them at the school. And I was like, wow, maybe this is something, where it says in the Bible, plant your fields, pick the field, glean the fields, and let gleaners in. And it's like, okay, good. That was good.
Gia, would you say that there are other farms much like yours that are going through something similar that, you just mentioned one, but that have a significant number of crops that they can't use because of blemishes and things of that nature?
Yes, 35 35 farms in the Northeast Kingdom and Lamoille Valley. There's 35 farms that Salvation Farm has done. Yes, right. Yep.
Well, Richie, one thing that I think we gleaned from this is that you have a partner, and and Connie, and that's for sure. So we appreciate everything that you're doing, and I think this is a tremendous program. Commissioner, yes, please.
Oh, I was just thumbs up.
Director Dillon, do you have anything else?
I think we have, I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but we.
We have
do
about
some-
15 minutes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think, Tony, if you want to hop
Yeah.
back in. Yeah.
Get there.
Sure.
Thank you, Richie and Connie.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope it works. Please.
Yeah,
Okay.
great, perfect.
Great. Oh, we gotta share screen.
There you go.
There we go. All right, awesome.
Perfect. So yeah, that's from the farm perspective. Wanted to also talk about our institutional partners and the folks who will be receiving this product. And I mentioned schools, Department of Corrections, charitable food system, benefits for these institutional market, time saving. So working with fresh produce can be very difficult, especially when you're short staffed. So to have something that is already minimally processed in a package, ready to go, much like that photo, that's how zucchini and yellow squash would show up to a customer. They're able to just cut and dump and incorporate it into their meal. So it's a big time savings. Year-round access to local products, like Richie said, the frost hits him and then that's all over. If we're able to take that access during the summer, we have that available throughout the year. And especially for school markets that are really, in over the winter, fall and spring, it gives them access to local product that they, in a way that they haven't had before. Again, the price points, we're trying to meet accessible price points. And the other thing we want to emphasize is, these are single ingredient products. We don't add any sodium, we don't add any sugar or preservatives. So it really helps some of our partners meet nutritional guidelines that they're trying to meet, where they can take this product and then do what they're going to do with it afterwards. And so we also had, we have Kim Lipinski here from Central Vermont Council on Aging, who we'd love to just have a little talk about that.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Section. Hi. So I'm here to talk about how,
If you could just state your name and.
I'm sorry, Kim Lipinski. I'm the Director of Nutrition and Wellness at the Central Vermont Council on Aging.
Thank you.
And we have established a partnership with Salvation Farms with our Meals on Wheels programs, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about. The program that they've offered us of these minimally processed foods are really important to meeting the goals of our programs. The goals of our programs are outlined in a couple of different ways. First, the area agencies on aging do what's called an area plan every 4 years, and that set out the goals of our work. And very specifically in those in the plan that we're in now, which is ending a 4-year cycle, and in the following plan that begins in October, is a requirement to provide medically tailored meals or therapeutic meals for Meals on Wheels programs. So that, in order to do that, that has a lot of impacts on production facilities of these meals. So they need specialized products, they need cost savings, they need labor savings, and these minimally processed foods really hit the nail on the head for that. So when in their presentation, they talked about time saving. Well, time saving is cost savings. And when I managed 13 meal sites in Central Vermont, and when we started introducing training for medically tailored meals or therapeutic meals, everyone started screaming about it's extra work, it's extra labor, it's extra cost. So in order to make these therapeutic meals viable, we needed to find a solution that would reduce labor and costs for them and streamline production. And receiving minimally processed foods, and like they said, they're single ingredient foods, which is very important, that there's no added sodium, sugar, or preservatives. that makes products that are ready to use for our meal programs. The other thing that this does is it helps build capacity for meal programs. So more and more people are signing up for Meals on Wheels all the time, every day. We have intake specialists doing intakes, sometimes 6 to 10 a day, adding on to our programs. So our meals sites need to continually up their capacity without necessarily having more volunteers or paid staff. And these minimally processed foods really fit into that plan. The other thing that this does that I think is really important is it really aligns with the Age Strong Vermont plan. 3 of the specific objectives within that are to reduce food insecurity for all Vermonters, to increase the number of older Vermonters who can age in place, and to reduce the need for family friends to provide full-time care assistance to a family or friend member. Meals on Wheels hits all those on the head. And if Meals on Wheels just needs all the support it can get. And this is just one way to help, shore up their programs, with cost and, labor savings. The other thing that Therapeutic Meals do through the Meals on Wheels program specifically is it provides health equity in food for people. So if you have, for example, renal disease, kidney disease, and you need a special kidney diet, that's very difficult to do on your own, and it could be more costly for you to do on your own. But you can turn to a Meals on Wheels program, and because of this therapeutic meal initiative, get those renal meals provided for you, which will help your health, of course, but also has savings in healthcare. So I don't need to go down the road of why people need therapeutic meals, but I think you can envision that. And then there's one other population that's really is helping as well, and that's the under 60 disabled population. So most people might not know that the Meals on Wheels programs, yes, it's for people age 60 and over, but they also provide all the meals for disabled people under 60 who need meals. And it's through VSIL, Vermont, help me with those. Anyway, so those programs also provide meals for those individuals as well, which is a pretty significant amount of people. So I'd say, to sum it up, it's the minimally processed food partnership is really, really a positive one for all of our Meals on Wheels programs going forward. And we've already made our first purchase for every single one of our 13 kitchens to introduce them to these foods. And we're also using them in our training. So when they go for a training session on how to produce a particular type of therapeutic meal, we're using Salvation Farms minimally processed foods to show them how to integrate them into their food processing. And they're being very well received.
Thank
Do
you.
you have any questions?
Any questions?
Nope. That's okay. You're doing a very good thing.
Really?
Thank
Thank you. Thank you, Kim.
So are you able to, throughout the year, supply food?
Yeah, so we're running a very truncated program at the moment. So renting space at Food Venture Center a couple of days a month. We're able to get some minimal amounts of minimally processed product available. And so it's been great to be able to feed some of these programs and like Kim said, just starting to get them incorporated. But our current situation, we just can't make the volume that we need. And so the facility that we're moving towards is going to really allow us to scale that program up. And yeah,
You basically freeze dry. Is that air
it's,
pack and freeze dry?
it's not freeze dry. It's so we do a version of what's called IQF. It's individual quick freeze. So freeze dry is kind of a specific kind of moisture removal. This is really just a flash freeze and then package. So it still retains a lot of that moisture content.
Great. And just to share a little bit more in terms of what's currently underway with the processing facility. So we have located a site for the facility. It's at on Congress Street in downtown Morrisville, have a signed lease in place. In addition to the state appropriation, we've also received a grant award from the Northern Borders Regional Commission. And just looking forward, there's a variety of other grants and support that we're pursuing just to ensure that we have funds available to support our costs in the long term. We do anticipate launching a seed campaign, kind of similar to just a capital campaign, but really more to support the ongoing operations of the facility and just to ensure our long-term success. We have spent some funds from the state appropriation so far just to cover staff time. A lot of time has gone into the development of the planning and also for some contractors and consultants, architectural designs, some legal consultation, and some other work. And then in terms of what's on the horizon for Salvation Farms, so like I mentioned, we are anticipating launching a fundraising campaign in the shorter term. Salvation Farms itself, we are under a lot of different change with kind of transitioning from a founder-led organization, having this new facility. The last strategic plan we had in place was completed in 2019. So we're looking to complete an organizational strategic plan this spring. For the facility itself, we're currently under a national environmental program act review just to ensure that our new site location is in compliance with any environmental regulations. Once that's completed, we'll move forward with gathering construction estimates. In terms of the current costs that we outlined, we anticipate that there may be some shifts just tied to potential tariffs and also our need to be in compliance with the Build America, Buy America Act. And that's part of the grant requirements for the Northern Borders Regional Commission. So once the construction is complete, we'll begin to prepare for launch and really looking forward to that day. We're just incredibly appreciative of this support from the state of Vermont. This project certainly wouldn't have been a possibility without that generous support. We're really excited about the positive impact that we anticipate it will have for many Vermonters. You know, this work really is in service to our neighbors, to our local farms, to schools, to so many others like Kim and the Central Vermont Council on Aging that we work really closely with. We'll definitely keep you posted on our progress and hope that we are able to make it to our eventual launch. And just if you're curious, this is actually one floor design that we completed that just shows kind of the outline of the facility. If you look at the left-hand side, this is more of where our administrative offices are housed. There's a couple of coolers that would be housed external to the building. And then the processing sort of takes place kind of in the central part of the facility. So yeah, just thank you so much for your time today. We're very, very excited about this project and just appreciate you taking the time to listen.
Anyone have any other questions?
Like hearing about these.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, team. Appreciate it. You're doing good work. And we'll try to support it in any way we can.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Correct. Thank you.
Rest will be here momentarily.
I'm sorry?
Rest will be here momentarily.
Oh, okay.
But you can start.
Okay. How about we take a quick 5 just to do a transition and then.